Sky. What's up? How you doing? Can you hear
Hi, Sky.
Cindy? Let's do a voice check before we get too deep into this. The other day I was talking to myself for a whole hour, and they're like, "Wait,
Oh
you have someone else in the party with you?" And I was like, yeah."
no.
Okay, they can hear you.
Hi, guys.
And there you go. Volume is
I'm
gold.
yes, and I'm Cindy from the Horror Tour Guide.
Excellent. Yes. While I do this, would you like to introduce yourself, Cindy?
Yes, so my name is Cindy Sanabria, aka Slaughter Sin, She Wolf, Empress of Gore, with the Horror Tour Guide, and I also run Women of Color in Horror. I am a filmmaker, special effects makeup artist, writer, producer. With the Horror Tour Guide, and my production company is called Bloodstained Films for my upcoming horror movies, which is an LLC, but we don't have the website up yet.
Well, let us know when that goes up so we can do a bit of
But
advertising
we do
for
have
you.
the Horror Tour Guide up.
Yes, that will be posting shortly. Hey, Fairy Angel, how are you, hun?
Hi, Fairy Angel. I love your name.
She plays a lot of Fortnite and some Ark too. She's our favorite.
Nice.
Don't let anyone else say it. Shh. I didn't say anything.
Fortnite.
Hey, don't laugh. I hated Fortnite too.
I never said I hated it. My son's not a big fan of it, but I actually think the characters are pretty cool.
I hated it and I couldn't stand it. But then one of my community's husband got me into it, so I've been playing with them.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we should be good.
I remember when Machinima came out.
When what?
Machinima. So basically, it's like a movie storyline, but done with actual like video game characters and basically editing the characters of video games into a storyline.
That
And it's
actually
called
sounds interesting.
Machinima. Yeah, I actually had a student. Um, I was like interning for like these high school students that were coming into college, and one of the kids was like really fucking good at it. Like he took like this video game and he like cut it up. I mean, I really thought he designed this video game himself.
Huh.
And it was so dope. Like, I mean, I can't even describe it. It was just it looked like he was playing a video game, but it wasn't. Like he put together an actual movie storyline with these characters.
Hmm.
And it was so good. Like he made like a 5 minute short, based on this. And all he did was like he had him and his friends like do the voiceovers of the character. So like he might take like some, like a character from Assassin's Creed and then, integrate it with like, a backdrop from like Legend of Zelda, something like that. And you might have some like fighters from Mortal Kombat in there or something like that. But he actually introduced us to it. And it was called and yeah, it's called Machinima. And but that was like so many years ago. I would think by now it would have taken off, but I guess the closest thing to something like that now would be like VR,
VR?
you
Okay.
know.
I'm going to have to look that up. That sounds interesting. Don't tell them that there's other games out there, though. They play Ark.
Okay. So my son
Hey, Cyrus, welcome on in. And hey, it's Gabook, aka Gabe. How you doing, dude?
Machinima. It's called Machinima.
Machinima. Okay.
Allows you to like manipulate game sprites as long as you have the code and whatnot.
Okay, so basically I was told that it's what is it?
It's an animation software. You can manipulate video game sprites, which is what they used to use back in the day.
Animation software where you can manipulate sprites
Huh.
to create your own shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
later on.
Oh, it got unpopular, so they discontinued it. I actually thought it was fascinating.
Hmm.
Are you guys familiar with Machinima?
Do you guys have any of you heard of that?
It came out I would say it came out about probably like about a decade ago or so. about 10 years ago. It was probably in style for about 2 or 3 years, and then they discontinued it because I guess there wasn't like a real demand for it.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah,
Hey, Lisa.
I would totally do a movie like that.
That actually sounds really cool. All right, so we had you on here. What? When was that? 6 months ago? 7 months ago?
Yep.
It's really good because I went to go look for your website and I typed in horror tour guide Cindy, and our old interview on YouTube was second on the list. So I was like, huh,
Oh,
what's up,
cool.
Raps? How you doing, dude?
Hi, Raps.
So I guess my first question for you is back when we were talking, you were working on that documentary about disabled people in the film industry. Would you like to
Yes.
give us an update on that?
Update is that well, one of the people from my documentary passed away. He was a very well, if you were into like sci-fi and back in those 80s, 90s, he did like The Sword and the Sorcerer. He did a lot of sci-fi movies. His name is Albert Pion. And and he worked with so many people. He worked with like Christopher Landis and um I mean, shit, he's worked with a lot of people. But he did like the movie Nemesis, Cyborg, Radioactive, The Sword and the Sorcerer with the whatchamacallit. That was like one of his most famous ones that he was known for. But yeah, so he did a lot of films and he just recently passed. So we're gonna be dedicating this film to him. My film is almost done, my documentary. It's separated into two parts. So now, because we had like, an outrageous response for people wanting to be on the documentary, it just started off with 10 people and we were going to edit it at 10. Actually, the doc was supposed to be done last year, but it wound up, prolonging because of all the extra interviews we had to take. So we ended up with like 22 interviews, and then we had to kind of separate them into two films. So now we separated because we had interviewed originally more women than men. So we just took a like about 5, 6 women, and we put them in a separate documentary called Horror Able Women. And then the remaining women we left on Horror Able. And
Okay.
so now, so the Horror Able Women short should be coming out next month. And the feature should be coming out anywhere between April and June.
And is this going up on YouTube, or there's distribution, or how do they go about watching this?
Well, believe it or not, I actually have a producer that reached out to me that's interested in showing it to Jason Blum from Blumhouse.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so that's pretty big, and he does produce documentaries. So we're gonna see. So that's one of the people. Then we also well, the producer has like 4 connections. One is with Hulu, one is with Shudder, one is with the Sci-Fi Network, and then the last one is with Blumhouse Productions. So once it's done, we'll be sending it to him for review with his partner, and then if it passes them, then it goes on to Jason Blum. So fingers crossed. Hopefully, it should be, it gets picked up. It'll be streaming online. The feature. As for the short, which is coming out next month, I am going to be putting it through the film festival route.
Okay.
Film festivals probably until the fall. And then once we reach like the end of the year, probably for the new year, I'll release it online, either on Vimeo or YouTube. So the short will definitely be made public, if not by the end of this year, definitely by the beginning of next. But the feature, because we're trying to shop it and get distribution, I mean, I would like it to be released this year as well. So we'll see. It really all depends. I mean, wherever wherever it's meant to be, I guess that's where it'll be. But like in the meantime, I'm also working on other projects that I'm very excited about. So we're not just stopping here. I'm not just waiting for the films, you know. So those films are in post-production and should be released this year. But
Okay, well that sounds
I'm
very
working.
exciting. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out for that through our socials.
And this is special because I'm not, this is actually, this is the first time I'm announcing this publicly, my other projects. So
Ooh, inside
whoever's
goss.
on, so this is a first time exclusive. So I'm currently working on a true crime film about a serial killer in Florida. And now I'll leave it at that. I can't get into any more details, but somebody very important is very interested in partaking in the film. So right now I'm in the middle of writing that script in hopes that I should be done by the end of this month. And then after that, I am going to be so we're planning to shoot that in May. After I finish the script, I'm going to try to fundraise. I did my calculations. In order for it to be the way I want it to be, it might be like $1 million budget. If I can't make that, then I'm going to have to go like, you know, the indie low budget route, which it's still going to be made, but it's not going to be made, you know, to the way I envision it if I don't get that budget. So, so that's one. And we're set for May. Washing machine. They haven't been clean yet. Yeah. So, I'm sorry. Can you give me 1 second?
Yeah, you're fine. Oh, looks like we got Hybrid over here. You gonna come sit next to me, Hybrid? Twisted T's just joined us. Hey, Twisted, what's up, dude? Hope you're doing okay. Shout out for Fairy Angel. If you scroll up the chat there, you'll see where Cindy's website is posted by the Stream Elements. Go check her out and join her Facebook group. You actually have one of the largest Facebook groups for horror out there that I've seen.
Oh, well, thank you. It actually was a lot bigger. We were close to about 40,000. And it was my admins, man. I had 2 admins that they really didn't have any discretion with the stuff that they used to post. And sometimes I wasn't there to double check their posts. So I wind up getting flagged so many times because of them. And actually they shut us down and I lost all my followers. I was so pissed. So since then, we started again. I think it was like 2 years ago, and we made it up to a little over 7,000 on Facebook again. But I do miss my old following, but there was no way for me to
keep up with
get that membership. Yeah, to like forward the new website or whatever, and then I had to change it from Horror Tour Guide to the Horror Tour Guide. So yeah, it sucks. But anyway, but the website is Horror Tour Guide. Horror Tour Guide. It's not a Horror Tour Guide.
Yep, and you guys will see that pop up again in a few minutes. And I can see Hybrid here approaching me in game with caution because I killed her last night. So,
so I just finished a script for New Year, a New Year script because Matt, you know how I do my binge watching during the holidays and stuff. So I couldn't find that many good horror films for New Year's.
No.
So one. And I just finished the script. I made a shortened version of it that I'm gonna shoot. And the guy that's going to play the lead, he's actually a producer. He actually produces and he's a filmmaker as well from New Mexico. And our plans is to shoot it sometime this year. And then after that, we're going to shop the short to see if we can make it into a feature-length film. So I have 2 versions of the script right now, but the short film is it's some creepy shit. It's called New Year Nightmare. And it's kind of like a sci-fi kind of thriller. And let me see. So, and then in June, I am going to I'm going back to New York to complete 2 film projects. One is a documentary, another documentary about About Miriam Colon, which is the best way to describe her. She's an actress, but she launched a whole theater movement for people of color, mainly for Latinos, to bring like literary works from like North and South America, and she played Al Pacino's mother in Scarface.
Oh wow.
So so I was friends with her until her passing. And I used to write for her theater in New York City. She had an off-Broadway theater called the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater, which was really how uh a lot of Latinos kind of made their breakthrough through her, because of her. So Raul Julia was one of the people that she made famous. He started there at the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater with her.
So would you
Um,
say that she's sort of an inspiration for your women in color
oh yeah,
projects?
absolutely. Absolutely. When she was alive, we were talking about doing a documentary to help her save her theater, because she basically, she was acting all the way up to 2015. I think the last thing she acted in was Better Call Saul.
Huh.
That series.
Yes.
Was it Tuco or something like that?
I
The
never
Mexican.
watched it, but I'm familiar with it.
Okay, well, she played the mom of the Mex. She's always playing her mother, right? She played the mother of a Mexican gang lord or something. But yeah, that was her last acting. She passed away in 2016 or 2017. And then since about 2019, I've been wanting to do this documentary in honor of her, to celebrate her. And just that she's not a lost, like she's not a lost icon, because she contributed so much. And I mean, this woman was acting when cinema actually had no sound. So the transition when they started adding audio to films, she was an actress on the first, I believe it was the first thriller that had audio.
Huh. Hey, Nerdy,
And
what's up?
hey Natty. So she's been working since 1935 all the way to 2015.
Oh,
She was
wow.
like 80 years old, yeah. Amazing woman. It was a true honor to meet her. And then I have so many celebrities like Jimmy Smits, was it Angel Salazar? He's from if anybody's familiar with Scarface, is the guy that he's like Chichi, get the yayo. That's the Everybody knows him as Chichi, get the yayo. So he's in it. He's trying to get us Brian De Palma, which is the director, Brian De Palma.
Mhm.
And yeah, we got a whole bunch of other celebrities on it. Mostly Latino celebrities, because these are all personal memories of them,
Yes.
with her. And yeah, so hopefully, we get it done. I forgot his name. Oh, it slips my mind, but he was in Girl Fight with Michelle Rodriguez. He played opposite to her. He was the one that taught her how to fight, her boyfriend or whatever. And he wants to actually produce the documentary, so he's like really stoked about it. And we're trying to get it done by Latin Heritage Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, which is in September. So
Nice.
hopefully, if all goes well, I'll be shooting that documentary. And the last one is a slasher film, a winter slasher film, a winter-based slasher film.
In Florida or?
No, I'm going to New York to shoot this.
Sounds cold.
So yeah, so we're gonna shoot it. I'm gonna start shooting all the interiors and everything, and then but unfortunately the film won't be ready until we get those pickup shots, because there's like a lot of snow and shit that we need, a lot of B-roll.
Yeah.
And obviously, the winters didn't bring us much snow this year in New York, so we weren't able to get that B-roll, unfortunately. I mean, it's still like there's still a chance that we still can, but now all like the Christmas decorations are down or whatever. And I'm like, damn it, if I would have just got this footage like the year before, because it literally snowed on Christmas. I remember I was in New York when that happened. So
let's go back to your roots. What got you interested in the horror industry in the first place?
Let me see. Well, I think that what really sold me on the horror genre was the effects, the special effects makeup. So, I knew for a while that I wanted to work with makeup and do, special effects makeup
Yeah.
for films. And then I had a friend of mine that really put me onto horror again because it really wasn't my favorite genre when I was growing up. But then I really started taking a liking to it again, and I really started admiring the craft of, the effects makeup. And yeah, and I was in film school, and I just kind of like landed here. I guess is the genre I'm the most obsessed with, you know, and um and that I admire the most due to its creativity. I feel like it's horror films are like it's like that genre that's like kind
Yeah.
of like all encompassing. It's like an all encompassing genre.
Well, you can do sci-fi, you can do horror drama, you can do horror thriller.
Yes, yes. And you see it's like there's so many subcategories, like subgenres, like sci-fi is a subgenre of horror, fantasy is a subgenre of horror, true crime is a subgenre, and it goes down the list. I mean, you have, everything from animal horror, which is like, those zoo you like
Jaws.
that's kind
Jaws
of
is
like
my
up your
favorite
alley.
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of up your alley.
Lake
So all like the
Placid.
shark films. Yeah, Lake Placid. All of like the Crawl. Remember that one? That was pretty
That was
good.
that
Even
was
though
the,
that's not a shark, that was gators, but it was good.
that's actually one of my favorite animal attack movies. That and The Grey with Liam Neeson.
Oh yes, yes, yes. So yeah, so all that would be considered like, animal horror. And then you got your thriller, you got your gore, you got your slasher films. You got, well, they call horror porn gore. That's when it gets like real bloody and gory, or torture porn. You got the exploitation films, everything from nunsploitation to blaxploitation. I mean, there's all kind of exploitative films out there. Found footage. I mean, shit. The list goes on. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there's about 80 different subgenres of the horror genre, if I'm not mistaken.
Holy shit, that's a lot.
Yeah, there's a fucking whole lot.
So
There's a
when we were talking last year, you were talking about a small TV series you're doing as well with haunted objects. That piqued my interest. How's that going?
Oh yes. Oh, okay. Let me tell you about that, because that was quite interesting. Actually, we were supposed to launch that in October. I was gonna launch. It was gonna be like just like a kind of horror tour guide special. So every October, I had it planned to do this thing called the Black Curtain, and the Black Curtain basically was like kind of like a horror-based talk show, but not so much in regards to horror films, but more like the horrors of reality. So like cursed objects, odd jobs like exorcist, or body mutilation, like people that perform those extreme. We had a really good list of different directions we were gonna take it in. But so I was gonna start the show off with a cursed object that somebody donated to me, which I regret.
Which
So
I regret.
yeah, if everybody's familiar with the Sharon Tate murders, Marilyn
Yes.
yeah, okay. Charlie Manson. So when she was killed, that fireplace that she was like kind of sacrificed, or it was kind of like
Yeah.
a ritual thing. And then the Folger guy was actually on that fireplace. So long story short, before they demolished the house right after the Tate murders, they decided to go in with a crew and start hacking off pieces of that chimney, that fireplace.
Okay.
And they sold it online in like some kind of like odd website that sells like things related to like, true crime and
I
and
need
stuff
that
like So,
website, and I think Hybrid needs that website too.
yeah, I can find out for you. I mean, like they sell everything from like letters from like John Wayne Gacy to like, pictures, artwork from whatever. I mean, like They have all kind of things. I mean, they have things from actual crime sites, like crime scenes,
Oh
you know,
wow.
like murder weapons and all kind of weird shit like that. But
Welcome. Sorry to interject.
yeah,
Welcome on in, Chaos. Yes, you walked in at the right moment when Cindy was talking horror porn. Perfect timing, dude.
especially with a name like Chaos, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so basically, I'll get you that website. I'll find out for you. But he bought this piece of chimney. And I remember when my friend bought it, he posted online. He was so excited because he's like really obsessed with Sharon Tate. And he was hoping that this little piece of the chimney would like kind of link them together, like spiritually or whatever, because he's all into that crazy shit. And he like basically obsessed over Sharon Tate. And he was just like, he wanted to make a film uh either about Sharon Tate or with a girl that looked like Sharon Tate. Anyway, he was like Sharon Tate obsessed. So he got this, piece of chimney that he won and he posted it. And when he posted it, I made a joke and I said, be careful because those things are probably cursed, you know? And I said, you're probably gonna get a whole shitload of bad luck with that. I was just joking, but like in actuality, literally like a week later, he was like, Cindy, you remember what you told me about XYZ? And I said, yeah. He said, my luck has gotten so bad since I bought this. And I mean, everything from like a weird stomach infection that he had to like not being able to losing a job to a car accident. I mean, like every single day was a different thing. And so he was just like desperate to get rid of it at this point. And so not even 2 weeks later, he's reaching out to me like, I need to get rid of this, Cindy. What do I do? Like, oh my God, I didn't realize how much bad luck it was bringing me. And so I told him, I was like, listen, my best bet, I mean, your best bet would probably be just to like give it away or something like that. Um, so at that time I was planning, but the pandemic messed that up. But I was planning to start like a kind of mini horror family convention out here. And I had the space and everything was going along good. I mean, I started getting celebrities like Zach Galligan from Gremlins was gonna attend. I had Eileen Dietz from The Exorcist, the woman that played Pazuzu. We were gonna do a silent auction of the things from Exorcist on set that she still has.
Oh wow.
It was like a bunch of shit. It was like a big event. And so I said, why don't you just donate it to my silent auction and we'll just auction it off? So that's what he did. But unfortunately, so when he gave it to me, I basically like opened up the envelope. I looked at it, because it was in like this huge Ziploc bag. So I looked at it. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then I just put his envelope so I wouldn't forget who it came from or what it was inside the Ziploc bag. And then I sealed it and I just put it inside of my like laundry room, which is outside. It's still attached to my house, but it's kind of like out in the porch area. So it was there for, I would say, I totally forgot about it. Like totally forgot about it. And it must have been in my closet for I would say about close to 2 years. Until fast forward until like I had this idea for this cursed object film, right? I mean, for the series, and I'm already talking to people like, oh, okay, so how we're gonna do this? So I'm starting to look at people like, I think Zach Bagans was one. Somebody had like, he's part of the Ghost Hunters crew or whatever.
Yeah.
But we were like, so I was trying to get like, my people to for this interview, like people that were real collectors of cursed objects or whatever. And so while I'm planning this, literally the next day, like literally after I started planning how I'm gonna do it, I gotta wash clothes in my laundry room, and that fucking Ziploc bag is inside of the washing machine.
Okay.
How did it get there? I don't know. Because it's only me and my son. So I'm like, wait a second, what the fuck? So I start tripping out because I didn't really know what it was. So I said, what the fuck is this? I'm looking at it and I said, it's just a Ziploc bag with a letter, and I was like, what is this? So I'm looking at it and I see it, but it still doesn't click because that's how long it's been in my closet that I told you, and I kind of like touched it a little bit. And then I looked at the envelope and I'm like, oh no. So then I called my friend And now here's the thing. From the point that I had that, it was just so weird. I wind up getting kidney disease. Like I started getting sick. I started having bad luck. Like the same shit. Like once I acknowledged that it was there in my house and I actually fucking touched it, like my whole world started flipping upside down. Like I started having a very, very bad year last year. And even down to a car accident. I had a car accident. No, I kid you not. And not only one, but I had two back to back and within 5 days. Okay. Now, and I also was diagnosed with kidney disease, which thankfully, you know, I'm cured. Thank God. But I was like going on stage 3. It was bad. Like it was like all these things were like happening to me. Like lost my best friend, like all kind of shit, like real fucked up, like bad luck shit, right? And then I find this envelope in my, you know, and so I reached out to my friend and I'm like, listen, I need to know exactly what happened to you when you had this shit. Like he said, wait a second, are you having bad luck too? And I didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to admit it. And I was like, no, I'm just asking, you know, but I really was. And I said, okay. So I admitted to him a few things and he goes, you see, and he goes, you know, ever since I gave it to you, I still have bad luck. And I said, well, that's because you bought it, you know? So then I started doing more research on it. I started doing more research about Sharon Tate's death. Then I found out there was a whole cult thing, and I didn't even know about this.
Oh, wow.
But, so I don't know if anybody even knows. She was hung upside down. And she was like, basically like they put her like kind of like in a satanic circle and they like was chanting ritualistic shit while they were killing her and sacrificing her.
No, I didn't know that.
And I didn't know it was to that extent. I thought that they was just trying to, I mean, I knew that they found like satanic shit in the house, but I thought that was part of their ploy to kind of, you know, to kind of throw them off the trail. So they think that it's a satanic group, but it's really just these bunch of fucking freaks doing this shit. Yep. Same way like they were trying to like wage this racial war, remember?
Yeah,
like
the helter-skelter.
Right. So that's what I thought. I didn't think that it was actually being done. But yeah, there was some serious devil worshiping going in on the house. And I heard that they like even carved like satanic symbols on her stomach. Ooh. And I was just like, wow. So it's like I knew about the murder, but I didn't know in depth about the murder. And then I started seeing pictures of her and where they found her body. And it was literally right in front of that chimney. And then the Folger guy was like laying over the chimney. So I'm like, oh, great. So like this shit is like, no, and then to make matters worse, that my friend told me that he wanted to get like the energy from the thing. So he did some whole fucking like seance and ritualistic shit to that same object before he sent it to me. Okay. So it was like a big thing. So now it became, okay, I'm not doing this cursed object because the more I had it, the more days that I had it, like once I acknowledged that it was in my house, it was just like a really bad anxiety. And just because every single day something new was happening. And my friend was like, Cindy, you got to get rid of that shit. A couple of people were like, just toss it out. So I was going to do the show and then I was going to donate it to an occult museum or whatever. And he was very interested in it. I wound up tossing it out in the trash and I wound up just not eating. And I wound up not even doing the cursed objects because then I got like really freaked out, you know, because then people were like, it was just the people that I was talking to and everybody was like, you know, don't even like make a, because I'm like, what if I like release something? Like, I don't know. So I was just like, I just got rid of it. And ever since I got rid of it, then, you know, slowly but surely my luck started changing again. But, you know, and then he was like, oh, you're going to be cursed. You know, you already had it. You're going to be cursed. And I'm like, dude, first of all, I didn't buy it. It was given to me. You know what I mean? And I was like, and I'm not going to exploit it, which is why I decided not to move forward with the Cursed Objects show, unfortunately.
Well, come on in, Darby.
Yeah, I just basically spooked myself. And I just decided maybe... Yeah, I was like, maybe this is not the realm that I want to go. You know, I'm in the realm of like horror, fiction, you know, things that really aren't real. You know, when you get into like, you know, this whole satanic occult shit, yeah, that's kind of like a path I don't want to take. And people were like, oh, to do a reading on it. I'm like, no.
I just want this thing fucking gone.
That shit, like, stop channel shit up. I don't want demons in my house. Like, you know, if they were fake, and you could take the makeup off and they could just go home after that. But no, I don't want something stuck in my house. So yeah, I decided not to do it. So that's the story of the cursed objects that never happened.
That never happened. Well, thank fuck. But so, where is the scariest place you've been besides your laundry room with a piece of Sharon Tate history?
The scariest place I ever been. Well, before the pandemic, I was doing a lot of like horror tour travel, right?
Yes.
So I would travel to like horror destinations and document them, about them or whatever. And they're still there. Like if you go into the website and you look for the blogs section under blogs, it's there should be a link that says haunted history, and then all the blogs will come up of all the places that I ventured to. But this one particular place I would have to say really creeped me out. And it's funny because it was the only place I didn't go inside. So there's a place called the Death House, or Murder House in New York. And if anybody lives in New York, or is familiar with like New York in like the 80s, 90s, there was a famous case of a prosecutor. He was like a district attorney that was like super like famous for being like one of the top, he was like one of the top attorneys in New York at the time. And he had like this closet life where he used to beat the shit out of his wife, and then they found out that he had illegally adopted like these 2 kids, had them flown in from like, I don't know, Russia, Germany or something like that, and they were like secretly harboring these kids, but like literally beating the shit out of them. And it was a 4-year-old girl and like a 2-year-old boy. But anyway, it was called the Death House because there was multiple murders that happened there over a span of time as far back as like, the 1800s when the building was originally erected. And I believe Mark Twain lived there for a year and also spoke about the evil. A very famous actress was living there as well. And she became so obsessed with it that she started documenting her interactions with like dark spirits or demonic entities in there. And she basically like committed herself to writing this project. And but then she started saying that she believes like the entity actually followed her out of the house because she was working on this project for 4 years. 6 months later, she passed away right before she was able to release the book. But then her husband, along with like another friend, they wound up publishing the book. But it's in the blog. Like I wrote the name of the book and everything like that. But anyway, long story short, because it's becoming a long story. Lisa Steinberg was the little girl. May her soul rest in peace. But he literally beat her to death. And it was like one of the biggest child abuse cases in New York. And when they found the little boy, he was like covered in like, his diaper was really soiled. Like they didn't change him in like days or whatever. And he had like all kind of like, I think he had a brain hemorrhage or something because they were beating him too. A little, it's so sad, it's like these poor kids. Yeah. So he wound up getting arrested. The father, the little girl, Lisa Steinberg, unfortunately was dead when they came. They were able to rescue the boy, thankfully, even though he had like a lot of bruises and stuff on him, but he wasn't as bad as his sister. And so because of that case, that was the erection of the Child Protection Act in New York.
Oh, wow.
So they didn't, prior to that, they had no real protection for child abuse in New York. They used to list child abuse victims under animal abuse.
Wow.
Because they had no division for child abuse. And basically the Lisa Steinberg case is what changed all that. It's what made them pass that law to protect children from child abuse. So what really creeped me out about this building is because it's said that there's evil in that building. And I went there with a friend of mine, and we didn't go inside the building because it's kind of like a private building. But we did notice that out of every building on that block that's like in full capacity, there was only like maybe a floor or 2 in that whole building that was on. So basically they only had like maybe 2 residents in the whole building. And and there was an empty floor, which was like the first floor. And when I took a picture, it looked like something black was standing there, some kind of shadowy figure. I showed it to my friend. We both got like really creeped out, and then we left. So that was I would definitely say that wasn't a ghost. That was definitely like some kind of demonic entity or something like that that was there. Like you could feel it. It was like it was like a real chilling kind of feeling that you got. Really weird, eerie tree like right in front of it, and just I don't know. It was just the vibe. Like so I guess I would say that probably was the creepiest. And then second to that would be a house that was there. It's called the Jamel Mansion. It's
Okay.
where I think
Not today,
George
Satan. Not
Washington.
today, says Asian girl.
Huh?
The Asian girl says, "Not today, Satan. Not today."
Oh, right. So yeah, and that one, like they have ghost sightings there, and I guess the only thing that creeped me out, because it's a beautiful museum slash house, you know, but what creeped me out at the Jamel Mansion, which was I think George Washington won his first battle there, after losing like the Battle of Brooklyn or some shit like that, but like uh the guy that kind of runs the place, he's also like a ghost hunter. He was also on like that ghost hunter show. He played me an audio from when they were doing like kind of like setting up for a ghost hunt or something in the house, because they do that often.
Yep.
And that was kind of creepy, because it was like a voice that was like, get out, like it said like get out, but it was like a real creepy kind of thing. And it got picked up by that EVP thing,
Yep.
you know,
Electronic voice
the little machine
phenomenon.
that they have.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I saw the video and I heard the audio, and you hear everything like in the audio and video, but you hear like this loud, it was like kind of like a loud, creepy whisper telling them to get out.
Oh wow.
Or you see them like not even moving, like they're still talking, like so they didn't hear that until after they did their little like ghost hunt in the house or whatever, and they played back the audio. They realized that the EVP machine had already picked up a warning before they even started, but nobody knew until after. So that was another kind of like creepy thing. But I would say that's my, at a creep factor, that's probably like the two creepiest places, you know.
Okay. So if someone came to you through socials or sent you an email through your website and they said, where would you guarantee me 100% to see something paranormal? Where would you send them?
To be quite honest, I don't really know, because I've gone to places that were supposedly haunted or had a history of paranormal encounters. Like I went to this place up in San Diego. It was a whaling museum, which was a house literally built on hanging grounds. They used to hang all the criminals there, and people died in the house. Like, you know, some of the people committed suicide. There was like a whole history of misfortune for the people that lived at that house. They even had wreaths of hair, like braided hair and like real
Oh
human hair.
wow.
Yeah, weird shit. And yeah, like I think the last person to kill themselves was like their daughter, like she hung herself. So we went to all these places or whatever. And they have like a huge photo album of people that took pictures and of like letters, basically of people that showed like whatever, whether it's like orbs or like these like figures that look like ghosts or whatever. I physically didn't see anything, but they have a whole like whatchamacallit, a whole photo album of people that come from different places that took pictures. So to guarantee something, because I'm not a paranormal hunter, like I'm
not a ghost
into
hunter.
that
You're
paranormal shit.
horror.
I don't really like, yeah, I don't like to go looking for it, because see, that's where you separate the fact from the fiction. And because I believe in things like demons, like dark entities, and I feel
Yes.
like they are different from ghosts, I feel like the ghosts are already gone technically, and what's here is not something good. You know what I mean? So I think when you start channeling things and doing seances and cults and shit like that, now
Well,
you're not,
apparently
yeah,
Cyrus
you're
says
not
that
really something else.
Sarah says she's built she lives on native burial ground, so you can go there and you're guaranteed a ghost. There you go, guys. Go visit Cyrus.
Yeah, go around with one of those EVP machines. You'll probably pick something up. Actually, I live close to a city. I don't know if you ever heard of it, Matt, when you were living in Florida, but it's called Casadega.
No.
And Casadega is the biggest spiritualist city in all of America. So it's a whole city out here in Florida that everybody that lives there is either a supposed witch, whatever, tarot reader, spiritualist, whatever. They have whole Friday seances. Like, you know how people have like churches? They don't have a church. Their church is like a black church. They do like dark stuff there. Even the hotel, all the hotels in that, bed and breakfast, whatever, they're all supposedly said to be haunted. And then there's like an iconic Devil's Bench, which was used for like, ceremonial stuff. And people claim that there's some kind of demonic gateway linked to that bench.
Yeah, there's one of those in Iowa as well.
There. I went there one time, and I tell you, like, it was a really weird feeling going into that town. It's kind of like a town stuck in time. Like, it's not a modern city. It's very, very like, it gives like that old plantation feel, like that old Southern, like real Southern, like historic feel. Like all the houses are like, they're all like, almost all of them look like historic buildings and historic homes. I didn't see anything like, anything new there, everything like it's like a town trapped in history. And it would actually be a great city to like film something like that, like something like Blair Witch. I could totally see something like that being shot there, because you're in the environment, you're in, in the element, and you could totally, like, if you're sensitive to that kind of stuff, you could totally feel like a darkness when you're going through there. I didn't go that deep inside the city. I just went in because at that time I was doing blogs for like, the horror tour guide, the haunted history. And there was a hotel that I found that was said to be haunted, that had like 3 ghosts living there, whatever. So I went over there to like kind of interview the people that own. And they were very weird, super weird, saying that I couldn't, because that the ghosts were their friends, and and that they can't allow anybody to exploit the ghost. I'm like, whatever. And so I walked out.
Oh, yeah, I would too. So, what's your most memorable experience working in the film industry there?
Oh, what kind of experience?
Your most memorable.
My most memorable experience working in this industry?
Yes.
I would have to say my most memorable was working with an actor. His name was Douglas. And someone, this is kind of like a fucked up story. Excuse my language, but
No, you can. We're 18 plus here. Shit, cunt, fuck, whatever. You know me.
Okay. But I guess this is why it's so memorable to me. So, I was shooting my first feature length film. It was called Feral Child. And there's a big story to that too. Ironically, it was shot in a haunted house. And it was really weird because we found out while we were shooting, there was weird shit going on the whole time I was shooting. Very distracting to my crew and cast. But and then we even picked up shit on the camera. It was just like really weird. So we also had planned to make a documentary about that house. While I was filming there, the owner of the house, it was a huge estate, on a huge piece of land. It was in Greenwich, Connecticut, and you could look up the history of Greenwich. It's actually supposed to be like a haunted area in Connecticut, but she lived in Greenwich, and she had a house that was right down the block from Diana Ross and Mel Gibson. Like, it was a very like celebrity driven area. Ron Howard had a house in the opposite direction. Like, everybody's house, where they were like these huge estates or whatever. My friend was a former Olympic champion that beat Mary Lou Retton's record. So she was a gymnast, a world-class gymnast. She was even on Wheaties boxes. But anyway, this is her house that we're filming in. And she was telling me about I already knew about the history of the house. Because she always used to talk about like, ghostly things happening and stuff. And then which started to happen the minute I started shooting there. I actually have pictures of this. I took a picture of the fireplace and an image of like a little kid's face came out. It was like really weird, but I didn't say anything. I showed her the picture and she dropped her knee. She says, "Oh my God, that's the baby." So the story goes, there was a doctor that bought that house with his wife, like during the Civil War, with his wife. She was like very depressed. He apparently was like a doctor or something like that. I think she had a baby. She had a baby, and I don't know if the baby was stillborn, or the baby lived to about 6 years old to 2. We're thinking the baby had already lived and eventually wind up dying. The baby died in the house. The mother wound up killing herself in the same house, so she hung herself. And the husband, he buried both the baby and the mother underneath the floorboards of that house. Still there to this day. Their remains.
Wow.
Remains to be seen, right?
Remains to be seen. What in the Edgar Allan Poe did you just tell me?
No, but this is a true, true story. So this is where I was filming my film. Now, this guy, so I needed somebody to play like, it was based on a Trinidadian folklore.
Okay.
And it's like a creature from Tobago, Trinidad, like from their folklore. And I was looking for somebody that that could warn, like, it's kind of like a warning guy that knew about these creatures or whatever. And so this lady that I originally was going to shoot in her house, she was like, she had a lot of money or whatever, and she was just like a real bitch, excuse my language, but she was like, she had told me, I told her I was looking for somebody, and she goes, "Oh, I know this guy, and he's so ugly." Like, she was such a bitch, like, really. So she was talking about like how fucking creepy this guy looked and how ugly he was and everything like that. And I met the guy. The guy was super, super sweet. He was Trinidadian, and he had like, his facial features were kind of skeletal, and he had kind of like a bulging eye. Okay. So he, I mean, like, he's the sweetest person, but that was what his features looked like, which is why she called him ugly. So, but anyway, I thought he was perfect. He was a sweetheart, very supportive family. Little did I know that while we were almost halfway done, like, I noticed that, his eye looked like more bulgy, like real, like he had like this, eye that looked like it was popping out. And then I later found out, when we were like shooting the film, he had a brain tumor and he had cancer in his eye. Basically, he had a tumor the size of a golf ball right behind his eye, which was pushing the eyeball out. That's why his eye looked like that. And so he was like, the guy refused to get surgery. He was supposed to, I mean, this was like an emergency thing, like a life or death thing. And he refused to get surgery because he wanted to stay the way he looked for my film.
So, wow, that's commitment right there.
Talk about dedication, and I'm like, oh, we gotta rush to finish this film. This fucking guy's gonna die on me. So I mean, I'm very thankful. I'm very grateful. Luckily, he was able to have his surgery successfully, like literally, like maybe after we wrapped, no more than 3 weeks after we wrapped from the film. I mean, he was in surgery and had it removed, and by that time, it was the size of a handball. So, I mean, it had grown in size so large that it's a miracle that man is still alive. But yeah, and the fucked up thing is that it was shot in a haunted house. My whole film crashed. I lost that film 100%. It's stuck on a hard drive that I can't remove. And I still have the hard drive in hopes that somebody, I guess now with all this technology, that I could break into the
so it's passworded.
Yeah, and pull the file. I tried to do diagnostics on it. I can't troubleshoot it. Like, it literally needs to be opened up and like brought into a lab. you know, and it's a process. It costs about a couple of thousand just to get that stuff. But I have a whole damn film on there, a whole feature-length film. And yeah, so that's I would say my most memorable story. One, that it was shot. Oh, and part of that, while we were in the middle of shooting too, the owner had came back because she used to stay there. She had just had hip surgery and stuff like that. And one day she called me when we were on our way to shoot, and she was like, "Cindy, I moved." And I said, "What? What do you mean you moved?" And she was like, "Oh, no. You don't understand. I had such a horrible." She basically said that the ghost that was in there, like, wasn't a ghost. It was a poltergeist, and it attacked her friend. And she said after she jumped, and she said after it attacked her friend, like she said that it looked like something was shoving his face into the couch, and he was begging for her. He was like, "Help me, help me, help me." And that was Sunday, and Monday I was coming to film. She literally packed her bags an hour later and moved out. Like,
Oh,
moved
wow.
out. She moved to, so when she called me, she was in Vegas. Like, she was like, "Cindy, I left." I was like, "What do you mean you left?" I like, "Elaine, I have a fucking film." And she was like, "Oh, no, you can have the house. I left it open. Stay there as long as you want." Blah. And
She says, "I'm the fuck out."
she left me a full estate. She left me a whole estate, fully furnished and everything, for like up to 6 to 8 months for me to come in and out as I wish. And then they couldn't sell the house because of all the paranormal activity. It took them like 2.5 years to fully sell the house and fully furnished. I mean, there was like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Peter Lick, but he's a famous photographer. And for one of his photos, it starts at like 5,000 for just a replica. She had a huge, and I think it was an original Peter Lick, and she just decided to leave it in the house. And she was like, as an incentive for the buyers, that fucking picture that was in her house was probably a good maybe $50,000 just for that one picture. You know, so yeah, I would have to say that was my most memorable experience as a filmmaker.
That's, give me a second to process that. That's intense. So his face. This is why you should have set up trap cameras around the house, where the film would have made itself.
Yeah, you know, the funny thing is that my camera picked up a lot of shit. My camera, there was this scene that I was filming where the girl goes up the stairs, and there's like a window, the skylight, and but every time I tried to, and we were shooting at night, so it was supposed to be like a pan upward to that skylight to see a reverse shot of her going up the stairs, so it looks like she was going down the stairs, right? But every time I went to look up at the skylight with the camera, there was something that looked like a license plate blocking the fucking window. But you could only see it in the camera, and it came out in the film footage, but we physically could not see that, you know, with our bare eyes.
Oh,
it was
wow.
really weird, but it's also in the footage. There was like, let me tell you something. I was so creeped out, and it takes a lot to creep me out because I don't even jump with the scariest horror movies, jump scares, whatever. It won't do shit to me. But that really creeped me out because my film crashed. I lost, like, it was just like I had all this footage, and when I was editing it, I couldn't edit it alone. I used to get real creepy vibes editing it. Like, with some of the footage was real dark and scary and gritty, and it just always looked like there was somebody there in the room with us. It was just really creepy. I had, like, my keys disappeared. We couldn't leave one day because the keys were like missing, and then, you know, I wind up finding the keys in a child's play tent, and nobody was ever in that playroom. So it was just like really weird shit.
That is.
Yeah, there was all kind of like really weird shit happening, like really weird shit. And everybody has their story. Like one of my crew members, he had to move from the upstairs because people, it was such a huge house that I brought all my cast and crew to live there, you know, while we were shooting. So you have people moving from different places because of things that they had to deal with. Like, my friend said he went upstairs to go share a room with one of the guys, and he said as he started going up the stairs, the lights started flickering, and he was like, "Nope, not today."
Not today, Satan.
Yeah, I wind up not today saying right. I wind up sleep. It was so funny because I wind up sleeping in a like a king size bed with one of my actors and my audio guy.
You'll sleep
Like everybody was scared shitless. Like nobody wanted to like be in that
be
fucking
in the
house.
house alone.
It was so funny, yeah. But it was like that shit was like really real though. There was like real creepy shit. My friend never went back. Like she literally bought another house. And she still with her mother in Vegas for like about a year, and then she bought a house. Now she lives in Utah. She completely like left that house behind, and it was like over a $5 million house. I kid you not. This is not even bullshit. I just like I wish I had money like that. Hey, let me just leave this mansion
I
here.
know, right? Well, she did the one thing that the one mistake. She obviously watched a lot of horror movies and didn't make the one mistake that they all do, and that's stay in the house.
Yeah, right. And no, and here's the funny thing that my friend was, I don't know if anybody knows about like Sleepy Hollow.
Hmm.
That's an actual city up in New York by Terrytown. My friend she used to host the Halloween parades of Sleepy Hollow. Like it was her, all the props for the parade were downstairs in her basement of that house. That's how big that house was.
Oh
That she
wow!
held like huge. I mean, she was a collector of all things horror. I mean, and she was like she was known in that city because of that, because
And,
she was
and then all things horror wanted to collect her.
yeah, right. Isn't that crazy?
That's
And
insane. How
she
the
couldn't even stay there. She like literally left everything. She was like, I'm gone, Cindy. I'm not staying here. She's like, fuck this shit.
I'm out.
Uh,
Well, while
oh,
we're here prating on, I'm going to open the floor to questions. So you guys have some questions for Cindy, slap them there in the chat. But so I'm going to ask you a very difficult question that I ask a lot of my guests. What
okay.
was the worst? Who was the worst person you ever had to experience in the film industry? You don't have to mention their name if you don't want to, but who was the worst person you had to, what led up to that
The worst person in the film industry
that you've
that I've
had to
encountered.
work with? Yeah.
Oh, that I had to work with, not that
Yes.
I encountered. Okay. Okay. The worst person that I had to work with was actually, I would have to say, on that same set, a feral child. I had, if I knew her name, I would totally, like, if I could remember her name, I would totally, oh, Noriko. That's her name. Her name
Noriko.
is Noriko. I forgot her last name, but I definitely know her first name was Noriko. And oh my God, she was horrible. She was a non-union actress. And that film, I had both unionized and non-union actors.
Okay.
Now, my unionized actors were on a SAG contract. So they take that shit really, it's like a union,
Yeah.
and you can't go over certain hours. You can't, like, you have to like definitely abide by their like guidelines. And if you don't, they could sue you, you could lose your mind. And like it's bad. So anyway, my main actress was a 14-year-old girl, and she was union. She was through SAG. So, obviously the film revolved around her a lot. Noriko was playing her mother, and she was like kind of like getting jealous of the girl. I don't know if it was because she had more like camera time, or because like whenever she came into the house, everything stopped. Like it was like, okay, we gotta get her, because she was a minor. And that's why I was acting the way I was acting with her, because she was the only minor on set,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to keep her past the SAG budget. Like literally, if we start filming, we have to, she has certain hours that she could be on set, and what time we would wrap. But there was even times that her parents were like, oh, it's okay, we're just not gonna put this on the SAG time. But like they were even giving like extra time and stuff like that. And sometimes that little girl used to be in that house till like really late at night, but her parents were like real supportive, and they were like very interested in the film or whatever. And so Noriko started getting upset because Chloe, which was my actress, she was the only actor that didn't stay in the house because she lived upstate New York. So her parents just used to drive her in and then drive her back. But everybody else stood, on grounds, and so Noriko one time approached me and she was like, hey, I was wondering if you could just if you could just film me with, some of my scenes, because there were scenes that, required her like by herself. So she was requesting for me to do those scenes, before Chloe got there. And I told her, okay, but you have to know that you're not union. She is. So that means the minute she walks through this door, we have to stop whatever we're doing and we have to start filming her immediately. So she's like, yes, I understand. Okay, so she said she understood, but literally once we set the camera, it took us about a half hour to set up. So by the time we got it all set up and we were ready, she was in wardrobe. I mean, it took time for all that to happen. So when we were finally ready to shoot, I kid you not, Chloe walks in with her parents and we just stopped. Like, so this really pissed Noriko off. And she started being a bitch on set. Like, she started being a bitch and what I didn't like is that she was projecting her anger on the little girl. And that I didn't like, so I checked her on it, and I was just like, first of all, she's a minor. Second of all, she's SAG, So I went down the list. Then Noriko gave me a lot of shit. And then she started disrespecting me on my set. I was so close to smashing her face into that wall. But I let it go. I had to be professional. And so I was just like, okay, whatever. I dealt with her. She was just being a bitch. She was pretending not to listen to us. Like she would go put on her headphones and we would be calling her because we had a scene with her. And she was just like prolonging the scenes, like taking her time, claiming that she didn't hear us, ignoring us, just being very uncooperative, And eventually it came to the point that I got so mad at her because somebody came on the set to do basically do like whatchamacallit, like, cover us, like do some kind of news piece on us. And she knew that. So I was like, everybody got to kind of be on their best behavior. She knew how much that meant to me. And she deliberately sabotaged it by like starting an argument, yelling on set. I mean, it was,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So it came to the point that, it came to the point that I wanted to fight this girl. I mean, I kid you not. I was really pissed that it took everybody on set to like calm me down. I was like,
hold you back.
I was like, fuck this bitch. She ain't gonna be on this film. I'm taking her off. I was like, but the thing was that we were almost finished with the film too. So everybody was like, what? You're gonna reshoot this? Because I was gonna replace her. I was gonna rehire, recast. We were gonna do another. It would have been like another month at it because of her. We had to redo the scenes again with a new actress. So eventually, my script supervisor, the producer, a couple of people wind up talking me into not doing that, replacing her. They're like, just keep it. Just deal with it. Oh, but I got that bitch back. Oh boy, did I get her back. You want to hear how I got it back?
I definitely want to hear how did Slaughter Sin get her revenge. This is going to be good.
Though, all professional.
Professional?
Yeah, this is all professional now, right? I said, okay, I'll keep her on set, but I'm gonna make her regret that she fucking embarrassed me that day. And then after that, I lost that news piece too, by the way, over her craziness. But it's all good. So she refused to stay in the house that night, and she demanded that all her scenes be done that day, or she wasn't coming back on set. Okay, so I'm like, all right, so two could play the same game. So what we did was, now her scene was a murder scene. She was gonna die in the film. Okay. And so there was a whole lot of blood involved. And I made the blood. So my blood is edible, but the blood that I made for her consisted of a raw egg. So it's not the best thing that you want to eat, right? Because it tastes like shit. Plus it was old blood that I had made so it's like rotten eggs at this point, like rotten raw eggs mixed with whatever thing. So, anyway, so she's so it's like, there was a scene where she had to spit up blood.
Okay.
So she was trying to catch a train. It was the last train leaving Connecticut into New York. So if she missed that train, she would have been stuck in Connecticut. And she was adamant about taking that. Yeah, okay. And it was the last scene with her in it. So I'm like, fine. So what I did was I filled up her mouth with the blood. I mean, like filled it. Where she had so much. she had so much, you know, of that blood in her mouth that she could have easily swallowed it, or she could have spit out. I was like, whatever you do, don't. This is a one shot take. Like this is one take.
Yep.
Don't spit that blood out, or you're gonna stay here because we're gonna do this over. You know.
Yep.
And I needed her face was, you know, clean. So if she spit that blood out, the blood had dye in it, so it would have stained her a little. So it had to be that perfect one shot deal. So I poured the blood in her face, and with the remaining blood, I had to splash it on her, but I was splashing it on her so hard. like I mean, like I was baptizing her or something. I hitting her so hard with the blood, and it was coursing through her eyes, and I even got it in her eye. I didn't give a fuck. I was just like just splashing it. Now here she is with a whole face of splashed blood, and she got a whole mouth of blood that she got to spit out. So then I start talking, and she's sitting there with holding it in her mouth, and she's like, and so my actor that was playing opposite her, he was kind of like a little slow in terms of getting his acting together for that scene because he had it practice. So he was like, so he was being rushed now, and he was getting nervous. So he kept, so right when I was like, okay, you know, ready, action, and before I yelled, actually, wait, Cindy, can you just like guide me again?
So he's feeding your revenge without meaning to.
Right, and it was the funniest shit because she's like laying on the floor. And she's trying to talk, and then she's pointing her two fingers at her mouth on the floor, but we're totally ignoring her. We're like, but you gotta go here and you gotta go there, and I'm like, if she swallows that, she's gonna throw up. I mean, it's gonna make her sick to her stomach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it would make me sick to my stomach swallowing a big wob of like egg. Oh, so disgusting. But anyway, she didn't do it. She kept it on my. But I know that her cheeks were probably like so like hurting for like, you know, trying to hold that amount of fluid in her mouth for so long, right? So eventually we did the shot. She spit up the thing, and she didn't even wait for us to like, you know, like as soon as I did her scene and she did it, and like, okay, fine, I'm out. She didn't even dry the blood on her face, so she literally. So my actresses, the little girl Chloe, her father volunteered to take her to the train station, but she didn't want to wash her face. No, I don't have time. I was like, okay. So he comes back and he's and we're still shooting, you know, other scenes or whatever. And he's cracking up. He has water in his eyes. I mean, he's like healing over because he's laughing so hard. He goes, Cindy, I just have to tell you, because everybody hated her. You know what I mean? Everybody. You know, everybody knew that she was a bitch. So we all kind of like wanted her gone anyway. But he actually saw like the final revenge, and he was like crying, and he was like, oh my goodness, you should have seen it. He said that she was covered in blood, you know, and he goes, here she is running down the block trying to make the train covered in blood. And he said, and they had closed the train doors on her. So the shock, the look of fear in her eyes with the blood, he said that actually looked like a movie scene. He said, to me, it was the most hilarious thing because she's tugging on these MTA doors, and then she had to run down the block again just to get to the entrance. She made it, but she made it by the skin of her teeth on that train. But he was cracking up because he said just the whole scenario just looked like she was being like attacked, you know, like she was being.
And of course,
the fact that she had to go home with all that blood on her face and on her body, it looked like because my blood looked realistic. It really looked like she was attacked.
You know? This is real society, so they would have just ignored her too.
Yeah. Right. But I'm just thinking of all the people that are gonna watch her getting on the train. Like she has to get on the train. We're gonna be looking at her, so they're gonna be like basically bothering her until she gets home, because you know, people get worried. And, are you okay? Oh my goodness!
She get on the train head with blood pouring out of her face, and
so my revenge started with her with the blood in her mouth, and it ended with the whole blood in the train station, like barely like making the train, like desperately running, and you know, the train doors closing on, conductor slamming gates in her face. And she's like, you know? I mean, it's a little, you know, it's an awkward form of revenge, but I definitely got my payback with that one. And you know, and I never spoke to her again. But here's the funny thing: fast forward a few years later, how small this world is and this industry is. I was producing my three feature witchcraft films from that franchise
Mhm.
for somebody else. They weren't my films, but I was the producer on them. And there was a wonderful actress there. I got along with her great or whatever. She comes to me on set and she's like, "Hey, Cindy, I know one of your actresses." And I'm like, "Who?" You know, and then she tells me Noriko, and I'm like, out of all fucking people that I've worked with in all my life, she has to know Noriko. Me, that I had the worst experience with this bitch. But you know, in actuality, Noriko didn't trash me. She said that I was the best director she ever worked with. Now that scares me to hear that.
So,
You know?
so Sky asks, is there any project you wish you had been involved in or missed out on?
Is there any project that I wish that I was involved in
Or missed out on?
or missed out on? Yes. I would say that I would say maybe it was that I don't know if anybody's into Wu-Tang here, like the rap group Wu-Tang, but Wu-Tang had a series that came out, and they were making a film. They were making a trailer for a film. I was a part of that project, but then I wind up leaving that project because everybody on set was so damn ghetto. But now, you know, it's on Hulu and it's like streaming all over the place. And I'm like, fuck, you know. Sometimes you know, you gotta kind of swallow the shit sometimes, you know, just so you could get there. But I just have a problem with that, you know? I just have a problem with
Yeah,
that.
not going to
So
sell out
yeah.
your
I mean,
integrity.
and what they did to me, they robbed my phone on set. So that was kind of like real ghetto.
They what, your
And so I
phone?
made sure I got my phone back, but you know,
They
it's kind of
stole
like
your
you don't want to
phone.
be dealing with people like that in the industry. You know, it's like, yeah,
So they stole your phone on set.
yeah. That shoot. They stole my phone on set while I was doing makeup, and it was they had kids that were playing like the younger versions of all the rappers, and it was one of the mother's kids. I mean, one of the kids' mother, not one of the mother's kids. But the worst part about it is that she blamed her son. She blamed like her 9-year-old kid,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
which I knew it was her. It was just because she got scared because I threatened her with like, you know, calling the cops. I'm like, look, I need this fucking phone. Like tomorrow I was going to the Heroes Con in Charlotte, Connecticut, like literally the next day to film that event. And all my contacts was on that phone. And I was like, I have to get this. I was like, I know they stole my phone in this house. And and I was in a real bad area in Brooklyn, like real bad, you know. But I had to get a little ghetto, but I got my shit. I got my phone back though. You know,
Uh,
nobody got arrested, nobody got hurt. I just got my phone
no.
back.
Well, maybe they
But
heard about
that wasn't
your
a good experience.
egg incident. So.
That wasn't a good experience. But I wish I was a part of that, you know, the actual production, because you know what I was doing was they were doing like a trailer to kind of sell the idea to make the production, to make that. And actually that's one of like it's supposed to be like one of the biggest series on Hulu, you
Oh,
know, like
wow.
when it came out about a year or two ago. But yeah, it was doing very well, and I'm like, damn, you know, I wish I was a part of that. But it's okay. It's not a big deal.
Okay, then Mel says, I like her. Her voice is soothing to me. And Penguin has two questions. When was the last time you had a drink of water? Random. And the next one is, do you have any actors that you wish you could direct with?
Yes, and that might be happening sooner than later. So, I have a few actors that I'm friends with that I'm working my way up the ladder just a little bit, so I can have them a part of, you know, my films, because, you know, they're all SAG actors and
Yes.
actresses. Actually one of them may be a part of that serial killer um film that I'm planning on shooting in May if all goes well. But I'm friends with David Howard Thornton, which is, if anybody's familiar with horror, he plays Art the Clown in Terrifier
Yes.
and Terrifier 2. Um, I wrote an anthology that I want him to be a part of, and I already spoke to his agent about that. I'm friends with him. We spoke about it as well, but that's to be continued. We don't know where that's at as of yet, but I would say right now, if I had my dream person, like in a perfect world that I had this great budget and I was fully funded, um, I would have to say Jenna Ortega. She's the girl that played Wednesday,
Okay.
and she's also on Scream. Um, I always knew that girl had talent. I mean, I've been watching her for years on small things coming up, but she's been in a lot of shit. I've been watching her since she was like on Nickelodeon. She used to be a part of the show, and I always knew that girl had talent. And there's not too many like Puerto Rican actresses,
Yeah.
that's doing like American, stuff. So and she is. She's half Puerto Rican, half Mexican. So she represents Latinos. And, I will hope that one day I'll be able to work with her. Angela Bassett is another one, but I can't afford it. Like, this is my perfect
Yeah.
world, like in my imagination. But yeah, I would say those people.
So, what do you think of Del Toro's work?
Huh?
What do you think of Del Toro's work?
Doing what work?
What do you think of Del Toro's work,
I love Del Toro.
Me too.
I love Del Toro. Now, if you ask me directors that like you would say like what's the director that I want to work with most, it would be him. Most certainly it would be him. He's on my top list. Robert Rodriguez would be another. I think they're great creators. And I like them because they're not just like writer directors or writer director producers. Like, they really get their hands dirty in their
Yes.
films. Guillermo started as a special effects makeup artist, and he worked really hard, worked his way up to be like, recognized. And I think that we don't really see Guillermo's work the way it's supposed to be seen because he's been censored a lot.
Yes.
I mean, he walked off Lord of the Rings, and I could just imagine what that film would have looked like if he would have stood on, and it was great. Lord of the Rings was great, but he kind of got it started for them, and then they kind of kicked him off because they wasn't allowing him, they didn't allow him creative control. They just wanted a puppet, and he doesn't work well with that.
No.
So I think.
Well, he did in Pinocchio. Sorry, bad pun.
Yeah, he did
But,
it. Yeah. But he had more creative control, and that's the thing. Once you allow him creative control, he's amazing. I think like he did a killer job on like Hellboy, like the Hellboy series. But even he gets a lot of pushback from like the studios. So
well, I like his older stuff too with Ron Perlman. Like I can't remember what it's called, where
like
it's just
Devil's Backbone, Pan's Labyrinth.
yeah, but older than that, going back further, where I think it was the early '90s, late '80s, where he did that movie, the Time Traveler with the watch and stuff like that. I can't remember the name of that.
Yeah, that was good. Oh, have you seen The Relic? The Relic
Yes.
was like, that was another one that he was kind of disappointed with. Yeah, he said that like he wanted so much more from that, and they made him really like cut corners with like the way it looked and everything like that, so he was really pissed off with that. But yeah, I've been watching his films for quite some time too, and before that, I think he started in Mexico.
So I think this is a fair question. He was more
like a helper. Huh?
I think this is a really good question for you. Kronos, that's the name of this guy. Thank you.
Kronos. Oh yeah, that's part of the trilogy. So it's Pan's Labyrinth, The Devil's Backbone, and Kronos. It's the antiquated trilogy, I think he called it.
So Mel asks, would you say it's hard to get into the industry as a new actor with no resume?
Would I say it's hard to get into the industry as a what actor?
New actor with no resume.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you could get lucky, it happens to people all the time, but actors are, I would, it's kind of like you have to kind of work your way in or work your way up. It's the people, who
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen brand spanking new actors end up on feature-length films, you know what I mean? It really is a luck thing, I think, and it really takes a lot of persistence and determination, and you have to have tough skin. Like, your skin has to be like leather, because I mean, sometimes you're going up for a role with like sometimes over 1,000 people for one role, you know? like major films like that. So it can be very like overwhelming sometimes. And then sometimes, you know, you feel like you want to give up at times because I mean, I get this too as a, you know, as a filmmaker. I get a lot of like, and I make films, you know what I mean? But with me, it's more of like a money thing, you know, just to make it look like a film that's gonna go, you know, somewhere other than the independent world. And that's
Yeah.
like my goal eventually. I want to have films that are seen in the cinemas, you know. Um, but it's a working progress. It's effort, it's connections. So I would say like if you're a new actor, the best thing you could do right now is build a portfolio because that really is the basis of an actor. And yeah, you would actually need not so much a portfolio, but a headshot. You definitely need a picture so they could see, you
Yeah.
know, if they want you or not, you know, because you have a look that they're looking for, you know. So yeah, headshots, I mean, they play a very valuable, you know, they're a very valuable piece to the, you know, the whole film equation, if you want to be
Yeah,
honest.
and sometimes it doesn't necessarily come down to contacts either, because I have my own fair share of decent contacts, like my buddy Frank and that, and they're
Right,
working on some major Hallmark movies. And I said,
right.
hey,
And there's
what if I wanted a friend to be an extra or something like that? Would you be able to pull that off? They would still have to go through the audition process.
right.
There's no favors in film.
Not really. But you know, you could, but definitely I would say the best way to get noticed as a new actor is to hit up those independent filmmakers because there's so many. I mean, we're a part of the indie, I'm a part of the indie community, indie horror community. Join Horror Tour Guide, you know, Bloodstained Films. Um, sometimes I come across filmmakers that are looking for people and they come to me and they ask me, hey, you know, I need a guy, you know, 21 to 24 that looks whatever, or I need a
Yeah.
girl. Sometimes they don't even give me an age. They just like, I need a female for this role to play the mom, you know, whatever. And
Well,
it happens. Yeah, I've actually gotten approached a lot with filmmakers for different, you know, and I've connected actors with, you know,
yeah.
filmmakers and stuff.
Well,
The whole thing is that you want to kind of like you need that practice and you want to build you kind of want to build your you need to build your reputation so you could be, you know, so people could want you or, you know, you got to build that hustle, you know. And you might
he's
not it might not be easy to get into the commercial realm that fast, but definitely independent is a lot easier. And you never know, some of those independent films, they do end up in big places. Like look at Terrifier, that was an independent low budget film, and now
Saw.
he's becoming like an icon. Yeah.
Saw. But no, now Mel says, I want to be the next Chris Tucker. I look 24, but I'm 34, I promise you. Keep going, Mel. You'll get there, buddy. No, and a lot of the industry has changed too. You talk about getting funding for your projects and stuff, right? And I can share a little anecdote with you. So, as I mentioned before, my buddy Frank, they're looking at getting some Hallmark films produced. So they're talking to the same guy that did the funding for Yellowstone and other major TV productions and stuff like that. And so
Ooh.
he has an author that wrote a bunch of books. Now, I don't remember her name. I can't quote her name. She's on my Facebook somewhere. I don't know her. I can't remember her name. But he said this guy, the first thing that he did before he even wanted to look at a script or whether he would be interested in investing in the project was he said the first thing he did was go check her TikTok. And he said, yep, you've got 32 million followers. You're fine. We're willing to proceed.
Yeah, they're starting to do that. They're really
Yeah.
going after the influencers now.
Yes.
And actually that's not, you know, that was something that I was thinking about with my my son, he's hooked on some of those YouTubers and he's always like, "Oh, he's like he's YouTube famous." YouTube famous, you know, but believe it or not, some of those YouTubers, they have like bigger following than, you know, some celebrities.
Yeah, well,
I
those
and I've
5-year-old
seen
kids. Well,
like what's Mr. Beast? He's scoring like what he averages about 15 million. What is it, 15 or 30 million viewers? I mean, like he makes $1 billion a month or something. Mr. Beast? Have you heard of Mr. Beast?
Yes, follow him on Twitter. But then you've also got other gaming friends like my buddy Raps. He moderates a guy who all he does is he opens up Pokemon cards, and if he doesn't like them, he like throws them on the floor and has like a tantrum and stuff like that if they're really shit. And his kids come in and take them away and stuff. He's on $2,000 a night. So there you go.
That sounds hot. And PewDiePie. I think PewDiePie is a gamer, right?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, so that'd be another way to get famous. I would say just get on one of their shows, Mr. Beast is always looking for people to do something for or whatever, but like, yeah, you never know. You just never know.
Well, yeah, Penguin says the YouTubers just being placed in films can drive in more watches, but those people could potentially be terrible at acting. Yeah, I know, but have you seen some of the big actors that are terrible at acting? But, well, I just found it interesting to even fund a film, you needed a large social media following.
Yeah.
The world has changed. Well, especially with streaming services now as well, after, we're almost in post-COVID, hopefully, and we're still floating around out there, but, that just changed everything. Except for us that lived in Florida at the time. That was insane.
I'm trying to figure out the whole algorithm. There's like each one has like a certain algorithm, and
Yes.
I've never mastered that. I've never each streaming service like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, you name it. They all have like different algorithms that if you can master those algorithms, and some people do, a lot of those influencers, they only have that many followers because of the fact that they know the algorithm. It's not even sometimes. I mean, how many times you follow somebody and I'm like, are you kidding me? This shit has like 1.5 million views and it's like the stupidest shit, But it's because of the algorithm. And at one point, part of that algorithm was hashtags, but now it's not anymore. Now I know Instagram has an algorithm with like the reels on Facebook, but it's still like, it's just kind of weird. It's trying to master that so I can grow like my following on, Horror Tour Guide and all the other places too. It's that algorithm. You find out that Twitch algorithm, you'll probably like quadruple your numbers overnight.
Yeah, but then they'll see what crappy content I make and they'll be like, yeah, no, we're good. No, I'm kidding.
How many people you have listening right now?
We peaked at 17, I think.
How many?
17 we peaked at. It's the archive. That's when I get most of my views. But, I'm still building up. I'm starting from scratch. And
there's 17 people listening to us right now?
There was, yes. It's hard to tell with Twitch's algorithm. Like the numbers will drop because they're lurking, and if they don't,
actually less. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's more than I had imagined. I thought it was more like, I was thinking more like 8 or 9 people in the group.
Yeah, no, my community's grown, and then we're doing an event in game afterwards, and
cool. So 17 people know my secret.
Yes. Well, they haven't watched the archive, and then it'll go up on YouTube and all of that. But I don't pay attention to the numbers. I just stream, and then I look at it afterwards, and I go, "Huh, that's interesting."
We and then see how many people watched Sharon Tate on Google after they heard this. Like, oh, that's the
Yeah. Well, if you guys have no more questions, I'm going to let you go, Cindy. But before I do, I'm going to ask you, what's your favorite 2 colors? Because what I'm doing is every time I have a guest now, I'm asking them their favorite dinosaur and their favorite 2 colors. But I'm going to do bats for you tonight. And what I do is I paint them those colors and I give them out to the community, and then I put a dermis of one in my museum.
Oh, okay. I would say right now you could leave it at purple and black.
Purple and black?
Mm-hmm.
You can find her film stuff and current projects either on her Facebook group, which you can find through the website that'll post in the stream in a minute.
Yes, guys, follow me. And for the actor that's looking to act, the new actor, definitely join Horror Tour Guide and send me a friend request, whoever you are.
That would be Mel.
Mel.
Yeah,
Because if
good.
you really want to do that, I do have people that, that are looking for like stuff, all depending on where you're at and, but
Yeah.
yeah, join us. Join the horror community.
There you go, Mel.
And
And that
everybody
goes.
else is invited as well.
No, screw them. Just Mel. We want Chris Tucker.
No,
No,
come
but,
on. Oh, and just last announcement, we are planning to launch a store, a horror tour guide store, this fall.
Okay.
I'm just working on all my productions right now up till then, and then I'll be embarking on that. And we have some like cool ideas. It's gonna be like real cool stuff, so you can get some like gory goodies for the holidays for your loved ones.
And you're going to sneak like haunted items in there and not tell anyone.
Oh, I'm staying away from the haunted items.
Staying away from those. You've learned your lesson.
Yeah, I'll drop ship that. So, I'll just, I'll connect the order to whoever like sends them, and then they'll send it to me. And I don't even have to. All I did was place the order. So
Thank you very much for coming on, Cindy. It's been great catching
thank you
up
for
and
having
hanging
me. It
out.
was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Matt. Mwah.
Mwah.
And to all of you guys, thank you.
All
Thank you
right.
so much for listening in to my crazy talk.
All right, well, I'll get the archive up to over the next 24 hours, get it in the group and tag you to it. And everyone's saying they're appreciating it. Much love, Cindy.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for having me. You guys have a wonderful night. Stay scary.